When I look back at my life, there's really three main themes that emerge that have really been a huge component of my learning. I'm going to draw them out for you. So if you think of this could be kind of a fun exercise for you too. If you're a creator, if you're someone like me who just loves to think a lot. For me, it's been emotional healing. It's been inner freedom, my own healing, doing a lot of the inner spiritual work, and it's been conscious community. And as I've been sitting, As I've been sitting with these three themes, a lot of the way that my brain conceptualizes, one, I love drawing because it's a visual aid and support, but I'm always kind of searching for how do I find the intersection of these spaces that I care deeply about. So maybe for you, it's three different topics. And this is just a fun exercise that I like doing, is to how do we bring this home? How do we find the integration in what could sometimes feel like different, completely opposing topics? I think in my case, they're fairly similar, right? But I've played with this in multiple arenas of my life. But for whatever reason today, this is really hitting home for me. It's this concept of that healing is not just a personal journey. Healing is a collective journey. And I think we fragment ourselves and we cut ourselves short when we only do it as a solo journey. I think there's room for both, but I think the amplification and the true awakening that's going to happen on a societal, worldwide level is going to come when we come to that recognition that this is one journey collectively. And so I've been sitting with this concept that I'm toying with, that I'm calling like the inner freedom spiral. And so when I think again, like three concentric circles, how does this all come together as one? Let me think. I kind of want to pitch this idea, or share this idea, I should say with you guys. So if you think of a spiral, again, starts at a point. But my spiral that I'm thinking of spirals up. So at the very bottom is self, me. And not just self, but again, I've been so attached, whether healthy or unhealthy, but I've been really attached to this idea of inner freedom. And what does that truly mean, especially today's day and age? You can, I think I got caught up in my own spiritual journey of the term enlightenment or self-awakening. And it's like, no, like, what does it really mean to just feel free today? So think of self-liberation. And a lot of that is the emotional regulation. A lot of that is the shedding, the surrender journey, being in flow, tuning into myself, coming home to truth, releasing all these negative limitations. You see a lot of this in the marketplace today, right? Coaches that are teaching these things. But if we just start with the self, I think many of us are on that path and we've taken it as a solo path. But when you start to move up this healing journey, you eventually come to that point of relational or interpersonal liberation. For me in my journey, what this looks like has been in my marriage, going to marriage counseling and therapy, becoming a mom, and recognizing just how connected I am with my son and how he really knows how to trigger all the parts of me, all the shadow parts of me that I still have to heal. And so you kind of inevitably, when you start doing the inner work, become heightened aware, way more aware, I should say, to the relationships in your lives. A lot of times we start to analyze our childhood and look at our parents and the interaction patterns that were there, and the behaviors and the unconscious habits that have connected and continued as we've grown into the relationships. These relationships can also be professional relationships. What are the themes that are emerging? Do you have patterns of jealousy like I do, that or patterns of control, needing to always know the next step out of a space of needing to be safe? So I find that these two are pretty common. But here's where it gets kind of fun, for me at least, is when you continue up this journey of healing, and now you get to the communal liberation. Conscious community. You kind of hear this term thrown around, right? What is it really to be in a conscious community? And I am seeing collectively these additional spaces for healing, which have been incredible. I've been a part of many, and I see where, again, when I'm doing the work on myself, when I create mirrors with my relationship, I'm learning, there's like an amplification of my learning. But really the next level is to do this healing work in community. Now, most of the communities that I've been a part of, we talk a lot about this concept of belonging, but I almost want to go deeper. Like, what does it actually mean to liberate, to create inner freedom at scale, to actually move a community collectively from the self to the relational to the whole? And I think I intend on doing more videos around this, but really, how do we facilitate scalable awakenings, right? And I think of places like there's this incredible group where they do this concept called collective presencing. And it's like a worldwide group. You come onto a Zoom screen, there's 20 people from all across the world, all different backgrounds and generations. And there is so much quiet and stillness. And there's one question, there's a very minimal structure. And we inadvertently create, with very simple guidelines, this tapestry of connection, this tapestry of presence, unlike anything I had experienced before. Communal liberation, I think of spaces where you have even like plant medicine ceremonies where people come together out of this core desire to heal themselves, and they find themselves again shot into a community where they're debriefing the inner workings of trauma, of things that have kept them stuck for lifetimes and generations, and they're breaking through that, and they're feeling that sensation of seen, heard, and validation in community, and that is why it's so transformational for them. So there's a lot of this happening right now. And part of my curiosity and my intention here on this YouTube channel is to kind of dissect this a little bit more and identify how to really support communal liberation. But it doesn't stop there. The final space that I want to bring us through is the very top here, systemic liberation. We're so connected collectively, but with everything happening in the world right now, none of this can work if the system is broken. So how do we heal the system? This is where concepts like regenerative community design come into play, where we're intentionally embedding healing into society. I'll give you an example of what this could look like. A few years back, I used to do impact work with an orphanage in Guatemala. And I had, in the States, my own community of women. But when we came into the space of Guatemala, it was kind of like a restarting over. Like I had to come back to, who am I in this picture? Who are the fellow individuals who care so deeply about healing inside of this particular city that we were working with? And we were using things like appreciative inquiry. We were using specific question design. We used something called the 5I approach, where you move an entire organization and city. We had the government come in. We had different healers from the community. We had school officials come through. We had moms from the community coming in, dads, fellow community change makers. It was a collective of people who cared so deeply about a shared purpose that they came together to create systemic change in their city. So that to me is the ultimate opportunity that we have as facilitators, as healers, as leaders today, is to more intentionally move through not just, again, our own selves right here, but to move up this spiral of freedom where it becomes not only relational, not only communal, but we actually create systemic change. And that could be in your city, that could be in your state, that could be across a country, right? And that could eventually be for the world. This is where you have things like heart math, where global coherence, and they create these opportunities for people around the world to come and to center and to become coherent to their hearts. And when a collective does this, there is so much power that is possible, so much potential, so much fulfillment that gets unlocked when you come together as collectives to create these really intentional outcomes for the world, these healing outcomes for the world. So I wanted to just take a moment again to share my thoughts, share my ideas on this inner freedom spiral and some of the things that I'm personally thinking through and then I'm intentionally starting to craft and design around to support you as a visionary, you as a community leader, as a change maker, as someone who cares not only about your own unlocked potential, but about helping others to awaken and really the entire whole to awaken, because that is what is required right now in our world. And that is what many of us are being called to in this particular time, this really chaotic time. It's so fascinating because I feel like I listen to I've read these books and it's like from generations past, and they're all saying still the same thing in this chaotic time. It's like the chaotic times never stop. So when we can find our inner peace, when we can collectively come together, we find equanimity in the chaos. Like there's just a lot there. But hopefully this was inspiring. Hopefully something stuck with you. I am curious what resonates. What are you curious? Where do you want to go a little bit deeper? I know for me, these first three are really kind of the starting point, right? The self, the relation, the community, and then moving our way up to more system change, to creating that systemic liberation, because that is possible. That is the future of what's needed. But we need individuals. The first starting point here is we need people to start here, to start to wake up on their own. And that could be starting to ask deeper questions of yourself, starting to track the different habits, the unconscious patterns that are keeping you stuck in this small sense of self, the small I. How do we step into that greater sense of purpose and unlocking for everyone? Because that's, again, what's needed. So looking forward to hearing your thoughts. This was more of a communal wisdom burst that I'm sharing, but really a big kind of concept that I'm sitting with, that I'm deepening my thought around, and again, keeping it simple, always coming back to the self, because that's all right now that I can control. Be well, my friends. Look forward to chatting and being in this journey with you.